Thanks, Eleanor, for the introduction. I'm Harith, as mentioned, from Etherscan. Hello, everyone, from Amsterdam. All right, so my topic for today is what's new in Etherscan. So the first question you probably have in your mind right now is, why should Etherscan talk about this? What we found is that over the years of running the Block Explorer, we always get these kinds of questions. People know about the address page, the transaction page, the token page, but they don't know one of the many other features that we have. For example, Boki, who is one of the most active Ethereum developers around, he stumbled on a Etherscan contract diff checker years after we released it. And every other week, we'll get someone telling us we didn't know about this feature that we introduced a long time ago. And my favorite, and one that we get pretty much every week, is people asking Etherscan whether we have dark mode. For those of you who don't know, we do. Just go all the way to the bottom left on the website and save your eyes from the torture that they get every day. We've also done a long Twitter thread on features that we released in 2021. So if you want to know about stuff that we did last year, you can just go through that. I just want to do a quick shout out to some sort of underappreciated features that we have. For example, the smart contract search for any developer who wants to find any function that is used by any smart contract, you can look there. And we also have a transaction decoder. If you're a dev or a degen that wants to find out more details or traces for a transaction, you can go there as well. But what I'll cover today are these items that we have released in 2022. The first one is the Blockscan Chat. How many people here have heard about this Blockscan Chat? Can I get a raise of hands? All right, maybe about 10 of you. That means you need to do a lot more for this. So if you go to any address page on Etherscan and you look at that icon all the way at the top, at the center, you'll see this sort of message icon with like a number. So if you see that on your address page, that means someone's sent a message to you. They want to talk to you about something. And if you click there, you'll get to this Blockscan Chat page. What we believe is this is an extremely powerful product that the whole community can use. It allows anyone to message anyone else using just their wallet address, even if you don't know anything about that person. You don't know their name, their ID, their phone number. You can talk to them just by sending a chat message. And you can use multiple devices to log in. There is a feature to block addresses from spamming you, and you can even get notifications on Etherscan, the Block Explorer. One thing that we want to highlight is that this isn't decentralized, it's not on-chain, and it's not end-to-end encrypted at this point. So whatever message that you send using Blockscan Chat, be very careful about what you share, because we make no guarantees that it is encrypted, and even whether the other party will read that message. What we've done since releasing it a couple months ago is we've added even more features based on community feedback. For example, if you look at the top line there, other than me flexing that I got a message from Vitalik, you can also see that we allow people to pin a message. So if you have like your best friends that you want to talk to, over the hundreds of people that might be texting you, you can pin your message, pin their messages at the top. You can also archive messages if it's someone who's annoying you and you don't want to see this guy trying to tell you to sell your NFT all the time. You can hide their message from being shown. A couple other stuff that we've added, you can have like notifications on your browser, and you can even have an email notification. Only if you're willing to put in your email, you can get a daily email notification of messages that you've received to help you not miss any messages that have been sent to you. A very cool use of Blockscan Chat, which was only, I think, about less than a week ago, was by DDoP, who are here in Amsterdam. Love to meet you if you're here. They actually sent notifications to addresses that were vulnerable to being hacked. And they did a script to send these messages to, I think, about 98 addresses. And if you're DDoP, there's actually a much smarter way to work with Blockscan Chat. We have an API that a bunch of other teams in the space have used. Shout out to Alpha Wallet, LuxRare, and X2Y2. It's very straightforward. You just apply for the API which we give, and it's easy to integrate. What we hope is that not just do you see messages on the Etherscan Block Explorer, you can see these messages anywhere in any website that interacts with Ethereum. So yeah, if you're out there wanting to build a messaging kind of feature to your product, talk to us and get the API, and you can have it set up within a day or two. Now, another page, I don't know, have anyone seen this page on Etherscan before? Can I get a raise of hands? All right, even less. Wow, okay, so yes, that's why we want to do these kinds of talks. Etherscan has an NFT page today. It shows pretty much every NFT that is on the Ethereum blockchain, and it shows all the details, a lot of details both on-chain and off-chain, including the marketplaces that are trading the NFTs, any transactions that have been done, any properties related to the NFTs, and transaction details related to the token contract of those NFTs. And similarly with Blockscan Chat, you can chat with the owner by clicking on that button on the top right, and then you can easily talk to the owner of the NFT to negotiate a trade or an offer. On top of these, we've also added a bunch of NFT related pages. There is an NFT tracker where we will show the latest mints that are being made. So if you want to see like what is the really hot NFT that is being minted and kind of pushing up the gas on Ethereum to thousands of Gwei, you can go on this page and see. You can also look at the NFTs that are being traded on top marketplaces. So we show all marketplaces, and we even allow you to filter for some of the top marketplaces by volume. And for those of you who are even more degen than that, you can download a CSV of all this data. Right now, it's limited to 3,000 per download, but we'll see how we can improve that later. Another thing that in the last couple of months have been a huge problem for a lot of Ethereum users are these spam token transactions. For those of you who are not familiar, there are and continue to be a bunch of spam that are being created. These tokens that are, a lot of them are fake versions of branded names, or just tokens that are being sort of dumped to popular addresses on Ethereum. And I'll just show you this part. So Nate Alex even like kind of complained about not being able to use his sort of address page on Etherscan, because not just one page, but multiple dozens of pages are filled to the brim with these kinds of spam transactions. So what we've done just last week, we've introduced an option. So it is completely optional. It's not done by default. Only if the user logs into the Etherscan account and does a simple approval of a checkbox, then we will hide all of these spam tokens that we've detected. And so from having like a dozen pages where you can't see which ones are actually your transactions, now you should be able to see all of the relevant transactions that you want in your address. A quick note, these are, when it comes to spam, it's a whole lot of cat and mouse kind of that's going on. We'll find some pattern to detect, and some spammer somewhere will figure out a new pattern. So it's a never-ending game. We're trying our best to help the community by flagging these. There might be cases as well where we do false positives. If that happens, just feel free to reach out to us. We're very quick at double-checking and verifying and changing if need be. And just after we posted that, people being people, Simple Resh replied, it's a great job, but do you plan to enlarge the 500 max limit of private name tags? What we've done is we've taken that feedback. So Simple Resh, if you're here, thank you for reaching out to us. And we've doubled the limits for your Etherscan accounts. So if anyone here uses the watch list, the private name tags, or the transaction private notes, we've doubled the limits for those. So you should be able to have a lot more bandwidth in the addresses that you personally want to follow and detect, and transactions that you want to sort of keep an eye out on. Something that we just released yesterday is the method filter. So I think a lot of people really liked the method column on address pages. so that you can see very easily what transaction has been done in one view. A lot of people have been asking us to be able to allow them to filter these transactions. So what we've done is that we've added not just the method by function name or method ID, but we've also added the block number and age of transaction as well. So right now, if you were to go to Uniswap V2 smart contract, you can type the word swap and you'll see all the bunch of swap-related functions that Uniswap V2 uses. So you can filter the transactions on that contract to see only the swap transactions or any other transactions that you want to be able to filter by. If you're an NFT sort of degen and you want to find out what your favorite influencers been buying, you can filter by their address and even a specific age of transaction, and you can see which NFTs, particularly that they've been buying, let's say, over the last 1 month. One quick thing to note is that this is still beta. We are only adding it for contract addresses for now, so it doesn't apply to your EOA or normal addresses. It's something that we want to add hopefully soon. And there are certain functions that aren't fully 100% supported yet. So if, let's say, the contract isn't verified or it's a proxy contract, then you might not be able to enter the function name and have the autocomplete show you the suggestion, but you might have to enter the exact method ID in there. But it works as well, and if you have any feedback on how this thing works, please feel free to let us know. So I went through 5 things, but there's actually one more thing that we haven't announced anywhere yet. A lot of people have been talking about this multiple chains, multiple layers on blockchain. So what we've done over the last couple of years is we've created multiple explorers for multiple blockchains. At last count, we have 31 chains that are being supported, including testnets, including rollups, and so on. Pretty much most of the EVM chains that are known out there we support. And for those of you who might have been familiar with this other button next to the Blockscan Chat, it's also going to Blockscan, but it goes, all this while, it only goes to show you addresses that a particular, or blockchains that a particular address is on. We show you, in this case, it's a multi-chain Phantom bridge. It's not just on Ethereum and Phantom, but also in a bunch of other blockchains as well, that the address is being used. But what we've done is that we've added not just addresses, but also transactions. So whether you've done a transaction on Ethereum, on Optimism, on any other rollup or blockchain that we support that uses EVM, we track that starting from today. To look at the example that I gave earlier, the Phantom bridge, I'll just zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so what we've tried our best to do is to provide the performance that is needed to support multiple blockchains out there. So in this case, you can see we will support up to 10,000 records, which I hope is enough for most of you here. We do it within 0.1 seconds, and we should be showing the transactions up until a minute ago. So any transactions that have been done within or after a minute, we should be showing it on Blockscan transaction page. So yeah, that's a bunch of features that we've done over the 3 months or so of 2022. We hope to add a lot more, and if you have any feedback at all, please feel free to share it with us, either here or over the rest of the week or online. And I think what we can do is, if you drop us a chat message on Blockscan Chat to this address, you can scan the QR code, then I think we have 1 or 2 Etherscan swag for the first sort of feedback that is actually useful. Feel free to let us know, and then we'll find you over the rest of the week, and we can pass you some Etherscan swag. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, thank you for the hide spam tokens slides. I have a question because I've noticed sometimes, it's a 2-part question. First one is, sometimes Etherscan fails to sort of differentiate between the methods, and sometimes it shows mint for something which is spam already. And why does that happen? And second question is, I've also noticed sometimes there could be transactions, spam transactions shown as going out from an address to someone else while it was not the case. So why does Etherscan detect these things like that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. On the first part, it's there are multiple patterns that are being used, so we're still figuring out. We will detect a pattern and we'll kind of catch, but sometimes they will come up with a different pattern, and even in the opposite case, sometimes we might unfortunately get false positives and flag a token that is actually innocent. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's something that is new. We're still figuring it out. Ideally, we don't want to mess around with the data that is being shown on the Block Explorer, so we purposely made it optional, so it doesn't show by default. But it's been an annoying thing for a lot of people. It's not just about being scammed, but it's just not being able to use the Block Explorer the way you want to use it. So yeah, that's something that we're continuing to improve on and finding new patterns to detect and sort of flag. On the second part, so basically it's this idea of a spoof transaction. For those who are not familiar, people can make it look like a token is being sent by, let's say, Vitalik to someone else's address. So some degens out there might go hey, Vitalik's degenning into these NFTs. I should be buying it now before the prices go up. Or that's one example of a use case. But Vitalik actually never made that transaction. It was a transaction made by another address, and they just made it the token to be transferred by an address that's not them. So this is actually part and parcel of ERC20, the standard. So we don't change anything out of the ERC20 standard. We show what is part of that standard. So we don't want to change that unnecessarily. It has to be something that the community agrees to and the ecosystem as a whole agrees to use in a certain way before Etherscan will change it. Thanks.
Hello. Hello. Hey.
Hi.
First of all, thank you very much. I do love the tools you build and share with the community. So first, thank you and congratulations. So, and my question is, or curiosity, what is the language or the platform used back in the scans, the other platform?
I think I can talk to you afterwards.
Hello. Also from my part, thank you as a developer. Etherscan is a tool that I think everyone uses through the day, hundreds of times. Sometimes it happens that it's down or a very short time, and then you realize, yeah, this is a bit of a centralized tool that I'm very dependent upon. And so I wonder how you tackle scaling and yeah, how funding is done, because there's very little advertising, I see. It's part of the business model, and you probably have some funding as well. How can you share some light on that?
Okay, yeah, so we try our best not to go down. I think one thing that maybe we haven't been doing as good of a job at is to let the users know when we're under maintenance. So we have a regular maintenance that we do, and I think pretty much every week we'll see people saying, hey, Etherscan, why are you down? And it's because we're actually under regular maintenance, and we need to work on how to make that more visible to the user. So that's the first thing. And yeah, so Etherscan, we are a for-profit company. We believe that we want to make sure we're sustainable so that we're not going around asking people for donations, that we can keep paying our bills for all the servers that we're running, and keep the team motivated and reward them for the work that they've been doing. So it is a business. If you've noticed that we have advertising on the website, we have text ads, banner ads, and yeah, so that makes up a big portion of our revenue. What we've done over the last 2 years also is, if anyone here is kind of running your own blockchain using EVM, a rollup or something like that, we also provide EAAS, which is Explorer as a Service. So teams can and have reached out to us for us to build a block explorer for their blockchain, and that also helps to fund the team and doing what we're doing. And finally, we also have an API service. If you don't know, there is an API service which the free tier covers a lot of use cases for developers. So please feel free to sign up and give us any feedback on that as well. And there's also pro tiers for the API. So if you feel like you want to sort of contribute to Etherscan's revenue and help us make sure we have roofs on top of our heads, then you can subscribe for the pro tier and also be able to utilize the API a lot more.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Just want to say, really appreciate the product at Etherscan. Just a couple of questions here is that with many product requests that you guys get, there's different like target segments in terms like developers and retail users. Like in terms of your product pipeline, how do you determine like which features to push or prioritize first?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, so I think honestly, everyone that I know in the space uses Etherscan, and it can be many different types of users, developers, traders, even just like the average mom and pop who just ended up in crypto. So it's definitely a challenge. Whenever we introduce a feature, we don't want to kind of screw up the experience of another user by benefiting one type of user. We don't really have some sort of like a scientific method to figure out what feature we should prioritize over others. There's definitely an element of art in there. For example, the hiding spam tokens, token transactions, that was something that we kind of pushed up the priority a lot faster just because it was making the experience so bad for a lot of users. But yeah, so maybe what I can say is that we generally see, I think we did a survey a while back, so like maybe at that point at least, half of the users would be like retail users, like your average user, and a quarter would be traders and a quarter would be developers. So now I think things have changed, especially over the last bull run. I think there are a lot more retail users, and even that level of retail is like more retail than the previous retail generation. So that's something that we're conscious of, and yeah, we will try our best to support.
And just to follow up on the second part, with all the other layer ones that are coming out, I see a trend whereby Etherscan is actually building a lot of layer ones Explorer. What would be the current core focus, I would say, at Etherscan? Is Etherscan looking to branch out, like you mentioned, multi-chain, or is there more focus based on Ethereum-based Explorer on Etherscan?
So I think we try and do both. So our mission at Etherscan is to provide equitable access to blockchain data. That means whether you are sort of young or old, whether you're in the West or the East, you're rich or poor, or regardless of your background, we want to be able to provide a product for someone to be able to access the blockchain in a way that is easy, in a way that is simple that anyone can do. A lot of us started just being members of the Ethereum community, and we love Ethereum. We want to support and grow Ethereum. So I think what we've shown over the last sort of 2021 and even like over the last few months, we don't stop adding more features to Etherscan and like helping out wherever we can, whether it's users or projects that are in the space. If we can provide some sort of value, we will always try our best to help. At the same time, there's also sort of other people trying out different sort of approaches to blockchain, and we want to be able to provide equitable access to those communities and those users as well. So we do both. We make sure we add even more stuff to Etherscan that we can, and at the same time, we also help build out explorers for other ecosystems and other blockchains around.
Cool, thanks.
And actually, to add there, like for example, optimistic rollups are also something that we spend a lot of time on when it comes to building like other explorers. And there are a lot of intricacies when it comes to things like that that actually take up a lot more time than might be obvious to the external user.
One last shill.
Sorry?
One last shill. Where should we find you?
Yeah, so we're most active on Twitter, so always just feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. We definitely try our best to reply ASAP, even if it's just sort of like a wrong flag or something that is not super technical. Always feel free to reach out, and we'll try our best to help where we can.
Amazing. What is the merch that people can get this week? You mentioned something earlier. If they scan this, what can they get?
I'll leave it as a surprise for now.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Warm round of applause for Harith.
Thanks.